Hello and welcome to my Virtuosity vlog. I'm Corey, co-founder of Virtuosity, and I'm going to take you with me throughout the week to show you how I use Virtuosity on a day-to-day basis. Before I get into the week, I do want to provide an overview of how I use Virtuosity throughout my day. So I use something called habit stacking to help me remember to use the Virtuosity app. What habit stacking means is that when you're trying to build a new habit, you attach it or stack it onto an existing habit. So for me, I use Virtuosity twice throughout the day. I use it in the morning to look at my daily exercise challenge, and I stack this onto having my coffee in the morning because I'm never not going to have my coffee. So I'll remember to look at my Virtuosity exercise in the morning. And then I use it again in the evening as I go to bed. So as I'm physically getting into bed, I remember to do my Virtuosity daily reflection. So as you're thinking about this or watching this, I encourage you to think about how you can use habit stacking to help you remember when to use the Virtuosity app. As you can see here on my phone screen, I am on level 2, which is the activate stage. This means that this is the second week I'm focusing on the compassionate behavior in the Virtuosity app. If you were along for the last week's video, I described the 5 stages that we go through. And so this is to help make sure that as we're building our character, we're doing this through a strategic, really careful and intentional approach. So in the first week, I started with discovering what my compassionate behavior looks like, and also trying to understand what it looks like in other people. So now that I understand what compassionate behavior means to me and what it means to other people, I can then move on this week to activating my compassionate behavior. And we do this by relying on stimulus around us. So we use things like music, quotes, people, and places to help figure out how we can create context around us to support our focused behavior. So in this case, for me, being compassionate. At the end of the week, it asks you to be able to make all of these resources that you've collected for yourself more readily available to you so that you can continue to cultivate your compassionate behavior as you move on from the week. With my background in exercise science, I always use analogies related to exercise. And so when we think about exercising a muscle for the first time, it's really helpful to begin by understanding what that muscle actually is, what it's supposed to do, and then to actually practice activating it. What does it feel like to activate that muscle? That's what we're doing here, is we're helping you discover what your character behaviors look like in level 1, and then understanding what it feels like to activate that character behavioral muscle. I hope this video helps provide some insight into how you can use Virtuosity on a day-to-day basis. We all engage with this differently, and so I'd love to hear how you choose to use Virtuosity daily by sharing in the comments. Hello and welcome to Monday. I'm going to take you through what I typically do on a Monday. I am going to start with the lesson like I typically do on a Monday to give me some new food for thought. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I am on level 2, which is the activate stage, as you can see here, which is all about helping me become more familiar with what it feels like to activate my compassion. So here we rely on a set of resources to help you learn how to activate your compassion. We provide a quote, we provide a story with a video clip, and we provide music, in particular a song that you can click on. And then I'm asked to reflect on 2 things. So let's see what this looks like. Which resource most inspires you to exhibit the virtue compassionate and why? The films and music I find really inspiring. I really love learning about someone's story, whether it's through a film or music. So learning about the story and seeing how someone cultivates that character behavior in their own life. And then, does my compassionate behavior encourage or inhibit other people to be compassionate? As I was saying in my last week, level 1, when I was thinking about how my compassionate behavior looks like, I feel like I internalize it much more than I externalize it. So I would say that I probably don't have a lot of, let's call it compassion contagion, where I encourage other people to be compassionate. So that's something that I really want to work on. But I don't think I necessarily take away from other people's compassion. There's always more resources at the end of the lesson if you want to learn more. So in this instance, there's a playlist for humanity. I'm going to complete the lesson for now. It's going to show as a check mark. And then let's go, as I've said in the past in the level 1 series, I leave the rest of the ones below the lesson until the end of the week. So today, all I have to do now is do my daily reflection. So again, I do look at my exercises in the morning, typically when I'm drinking my coffee. We call it habit stacking. So if this is new to you, you can habit stack the new habit of looking at your Virtuosity exercise to something that you already do. For me, that's having coffee every morning. So my exercise today was to activate my compassionate behavior by developing my own collection of resources. In particular for Monday, it's listening to a song that activates my compassionate behavior, or check out the playlist. So I did check out the playlist, and at first I was really, I really liked this song Home by Philip Phillips, because it really makes me feel all of the compassion that I have when I'm with people that I deeply care about. But I did keep exploring the playlist, and the one by Josh Groban, You Raise Me Up, really spoke to me this time, because it makes me think about compassion more as an explicit action to really try and elevate other people. And I think that that's what I need to take more into account when I'm exercising my compassionate behavior. So I completed that, and the song was You Raise Me Up by Josh Groban. I think that's how you spell your name, not sure. And then my performance today. I think that we just had a great session, a great teaching session, and I feel like I prepared really well, and I'm actually going to give myself a 5. I'm feeling really great. My interactions, I think I was really happy with my interactions during the session I was just talking about, but there were some other things earlier that I wasn't necessarily pleased with. So I think I'm going to put a 2 there, actually, because some of my interactions earlier that I'm thinking of would have been in the negatives. So I'm going to give myself a 2. And then moods, interested, alert, attentive. I wouldn't say quite excited, enthusiastic, or inspired today, but definitely proud, determined, strong, active, and a little bit nervous. I think that's what compromised some of my interactions earlier today. And so I'm going to reflect on how my character contributed to that to see if there's some areas that I can work on. But I will sleep on that for now. So I'm going to submit that. And we're off to a good start for Monday. So I'll see you tomorrow for Tuesday. Surprise! It's Wednesday. I was expecting to get back on here Tuesday, but I did miss my day yesterday. I ended up working quite late, unexpectedly, and I did remember just as I was getting into bed, but again, with the recording thing, it definitely does make that barrier. But nonetheless, here today. So if you weren't with us for the level 1, I did miss a day during my level 1 week, And there isn't a big worry with that. What you can do is if you go to the program page, you can actually go back and do your daily reflection from the previous day. And so I did think about the exercise throughout my day, and I just didn't get to the daily reflection piece. So it says, find and display on your phone, bathroom mirror, desk, etc., a quote that activates your compassionate behavior, or refer to the one we have provided in your program page. So the quote here is actually one that I chose, so it's no surprise that I like it. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. This is a really big one for me. I feel like coming up in academia, I've really prioritized what I know, and I'm learning more and more that it's less about what I know and trying to focus on how I make people feel. So the program page quote. And I have it in the app, and I am looking at it every day, so it's a good reminder for me. Sometimes I actually do create phone wallpapers that I put on my background, so that could be an idea that you could play with. And then the performance one's an interesting one for yesterday. I did do really well with work, but when I think about my performance, if you look at the item, it says rate your ability to execute actions, behaviors, or tasks that support your goals today. And typically, I really do try and prioritize not overworking. And so the fact that I worked so late that I forgot to do things that were important to me means that my performance is actually quite far off what I deem to be important. So I'm actually going to put that as a -2 because, again, it didn't align with my priorities yesterday. Interactions, I would say about a 3 yesterday. And mood, interested, alert, attentive, inspired, proud, determined, strong, active, and a little distressed. I did talk about this in my level 1 video as well, where sometimes it's hard for me to see the difference between really high energies. So is it excitement? Is it, enthusiasm, or is it distress? And I think it was bordering on distress, but going to keep paying attention to that throughout the week. So submit. Refresh that. And so, again, if you haven't seen this before, it does show up my Tuesday in orange check marks to show that I did do this late, but nonetheless, it still gives me a check mark because I did it. So it's a nice feeling. Okay, so today, my exercise is to find and display somewhere you see a few times a day, a photo or image that activates your compassionate behavior, or refer to one we have provided in your homepage. So the one we have here is a heart, which is really beautiful. I do have a picture of my family here with me in the UK, and that really does give me this sense of home and family, and it makes me want to cultivate more of a sense of family with other people. So that photo is a really good reminder for me. My performance today, again, I had a really busy day, and I think I'm slipping on the side of letting some things go that are really important to me. I'm really letting work govern my days. And so it was a little bit better than yesterday, but I'm still going to put a 0. So without this, I'm not sure I would really be explicitly thinking about this. So this is a really good reminder for me to rethink how I approach tomorrow. Interactions, I would say I felt really good today, actually. Really trying to explicitly and externally show my compassion more. And so I feel like my focus the last week and a few days is really actually helping me do this. And then mood, interested, alert. I tick these off a lot. Even excited, inspired, proud, determined, strong, active. The distress and being a little bit upset today, we got some feedback on some programs, and it's all really good feedback. But if I am being honest, it always is a little bit disappointing when you get critical feedback. I continue to try and rely on my humility here to use it as feedback to make things better, but still deep down it does make me feel a little upset. But that's okay, and we learn and we move on. Okay. And I think what's good about the feedback that I did get is that there was overwhelmingly positive feedback. And so it is trying to keep these things in check and not letting the little tiny things get at me too much. Okay, so that's Tuesday and Wednesday done. I'll see you tomorrow for Thursday. Hello and welcome to another surprise. It's Friday. I was meaning to tune in on Thursday, but I missed it. I was feeling really low energy, and if you've been following along, I don't think that that's too much surprise because I was kind of burning the candle at both ends on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it finally did catch up to me. So I did take last night off, and I'm back at it today. So let's see what I have for Friday. Again, I can go to my programs page and look back at what I did have yesterday. And it's a really good one, so I'm glad that I'm going back to do it. So it says, find a story that activates your compassionate behavior. It could be a film, a book, a talk, or a real story. You can also explore our Observe and Identify folder in the library. Think about why it activates this behavior for you. So I am just going to take you to the Observe and Identify folder because it's filled with so many good video clips. So here you can see that we have a video clip for each of the 62 behaviors, so you can always go in there and explore more whenever you have time. The compassionate one, we saw this in our lesson, is from the Erin Brockovich movie. I was thinking about this. I did look at the exercise yesterday, even though I didn't do the daily exercise, and right now, my partner and I are watching all of the Lord of the Rings. And the specific example in this story that really struck me around compassion is with Lady Galadriel, and specifically when the Fellowship is going out for the first time. And she's giving them all of these gifts, and they're really unique and special gifts. And I just thought that she was so compassionate in how much she cared for each of the people in the Fellowship. And in particular, I also thought she was such a good example of someone that can be compassionate, but also really powerful. I think a lot of times when we see compassion, we think that it could be a weakness and that it doesn't necessarily go with power. And of course, The Lord of the Rings is fiction, but it still is a person that inspires this ability for me to be compassionate and have this kind of sense of power with it as well, so that compassion isn't a weakness, but a strength. So I'm going to put Lord of the Rings with Lady Galadriel? Not sure how I spell it, I probably should, but anyways. Galadriel. Okay, and then my performance. So I did kind of take it easy yesterday, but feeling quite burnt out, so I'd say maybe a -1. My interactions, yeah, maybe a 0. And then mood, less positive moods, actually not many. And I think without a lot of these positives, it's not like I was really distressed or upset, irritable, nervous. Sometimes none of these really feel great. Maybe a little ashamed that I overworked. Sometimes we get feedback that there's not enough moods to describe how we feel. Like sometimes we just feel blah, just feeling blah. It might be helpful to share here that we get these list of moods from the positive affect to negative affect scale, so that it's research based, so that we use these moods quite a bit in research, so it's good to have those, but sometimes they don't capture exactly what we're feeling, so I do list it in the notes. So I'll submit for yesterday, and then today. Identify a place that activates your compassionate behavior. It could be real or imagined. Think about how you feel in that place. For me, it's definitely home. And I was also playing with the idea a little bit more, and very specifically, a place in a home that makes me feel a lot of compassion is the kitchen. So I'll do 1, home, but also 2, the kitchen. And I feel like this isn't just reserved to my home, it's going to a lot of people's homes. I feel like there's often a lot of love that can be poured into food, and it's time to share and connect with one another. And so this whole ritual around food and creating food instills a lot of compassion in me. And that's a new realization, actually, so it was fun to reflect on and see kind of where that takes me. Performance today, feeling better than yesterday. I would say a 2. Just feeling like it's a little sluggish, or feeling like I'm going uphill a little bit, but still performing decently well. Interactions, I'd say about a 2. And mood, interested for sure. Inspired, determined. Not really any of those things, but still a little blah. Okay. So that's Monday through Friday done. I'll see you tomorrow for Saturday. Surprise, it's Sunday. I have missed many days this week, but I keep coming back to it, and that's what's most important. So I'm going to go through my Saturday first and then wrap up for Sunday. So again, I'm going to my programs page here. Oh, I was looking at what I completed. Let's go to my active page. And here I have my exercise from yesterday. So I was supposed to identify someone I know that frequently demonstrates compassionate behavior. Consider asking them about how they have cultivated it. And so if you were along for week 1, I had identified that my mom is someone that shows a lot of compassion. And so I asked her how she demonstrates compassion, and it's because she shows it by explicitly asking how she can help support other people. And so I think using that question is a really powerful way, and that's something that I've been trying to do more of lately. Okay, so I completed that. And then yesterday, my performance, I was thinking about having a bit more of a relaxing day, but kind of just got into one of those nice flow states. And so I'd actually say my performance was quite high. I didn't really talk to anybody yesterday. I was alone for most of the day, but I did have some interactions. I was a little bit tired. I'm going to do a 3, and then mood. Interested, attentive, determined. All right. So that's my Saturday to keep me back on track. And then Sunday, January 25th is where I'm at. So my exercise today is to focus on, based on the resources I've gathered over the week, implement a plan to make them more readily available to me. So I was reflecting back on all of the resources I've gathered. We started off with music, and then we went to a quote, a photo, a film, a person. That's what I just did yesterday. And so thinking about how I can make those more readily available to me. And I, of course, do use the Virtuosity app quite frequently, but I'm not always focusing on compassion, so I don't have these photos and quotes in my face. I was thinking that to be really intentional with the surroundings that I can create around me, and they are there. A lot of the things that I shared over the last week, these resources, are in my context. But what I had an insight around is, how can I declutter my space so that I'm seeing things that are only supporting me. And so I'm actually living in the UK for a few years now with the intention of moving back to Canada. And my partner and I have intentionally not accumulated a lot of clutter because we're moving back. And it's been such a nice blessing because of the lack of clutter that we have. And so this is a lesson that I'm going to continue to keep with me so that what is around me in my surroundings is very intentional and it's not becoming cluttered, so that I'm not seeing the things that are important to me. So the big takeaway here is decluttering to see supportive resources around me. And then today, another good day with performance. I'd say pretty good interactions actually. Interested, alert, attentive, inspired, proud, determined, strong, active. I have another big week ahead of me, delivering 5 or 6 sessions, I think. And I'm quite excited about them. So actually I should put excited, but again, it's bordering on distressed. And so I need to pay attention to that balance between distress and excitement. I'm going to make a note of that. Okay. So that I've completed all my daily reflections and daily exercises for the week. And now the things that I say I leave until the end include my weekly assessment, my partner assessments, and I usually leave my focus behavior until the end, but I was showing someone how to use it. But I am all set. I have chosen humanity to go to level 3, the strengthen stage. And again, I'm doing this because I want to continue showing how compassion increases throughout the levels, but this would be a good time for me to consider, are there other character behaviors I want to focus on because of what I've learned this week with my compassion behavior? But again, for the sake of these recordings, I'm going to stick with compassionate and move up a stage for the following week. So let's start with my weekly assessment. Again, these are things that we know are important to support your character development in terms of reflection, but they may not be changing on a day-to-day basis, so we put it at the end of your week. So how likely was I to exhibit being compassionate this week? I'd say about a 7. It's better than last week because I feel like I'm taking care of myself better so I can take care of other people, but the busyness of my schedule, I think, puts a strain on my compassion, so that's something that I need to look out for. I would say I did border into overly concerned when I'm, having conversations with other people. It was when I'm not exhibiting compassion, I'm more likely to exhibit the excess vice of being overly concerned. Attitude, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. I think a 3 or a 4 because I do think that I border onto that overly concerned space. And so sometimes I see the poor outcomes of it. And so what I need to do to strengthen my attitude is really attend to other character behaviors that are going to better support my compassion. Peer influence, I mentioned this in the previous week. I have a really lucky, unique context being in the character space where people around me really do prioritize being compassionate. So I feel really well supported in both of the peer influence and cultural influence. Lifestyle, I think it's significantly detracting from my compassion. Again, I am around people that are compassionate, but with how busy my schedule is, I think it puts a big strain on being compassionate. So I think it's a barrier. So I'm actually going to put it into the negatives. Maybe even a -2. And then my ability, it's kind of tied to my lifestyle, but I do believe that I can change, and I think that there's always a little hesitancy, but I'll put a 4 out of 5. So to support my compassionate behavior, what other dimensions are most important for me to do that? I would say my collaboration, accountability, perhaps humility, and temperance. Temperance probably being the most important to really slow down. Self-worth, feeling so much better after last week, getting back at things after the holidays, launching some exciting things. So I'm going to put a 3, relationship with others and the view of the world. I'm going to put a stronger relationship with others. Okay. And then physiology, better. It's still not exactly where I want it to be, but I put in the aims that I had for me this week. Again, kind of scaling it back as I'm getting back into things after the holidays, but pretty good. So I'm going to put, but lots of room for improvement. So I'm going to put a 2. Affect, a 3. Behavior, 3. And cognition continues to be my strongest because it's privileged in my area of work, so I have to continue to focus on these other ones. So that's my weekly assessment. And then again, I'm not going to do my partner assessments on recording for the privacy sake of my partners, but you can see that I'll open them up so you can see that they're focusing on different things. So Mary, she's focusing on humanity, so it's green, but she's focusing on empathetic. And I did gain a new partner this week, and they are focusing on being collegial, associated with collaboration. And so you can have more than one partner, so that's quite fun. But obviously you have 2 assessments to do at the end of the week. All right. So I still have 2 more to do. And I think that wraps us up for the week. So I am going to tune in one more time tomorrow morning to show you what the insights look like that pull together all of the data that I've put in throughout the week. So if you go to the Insights tab, Insights report, this is my weekly insights from last week, but then I'll be able to see all of my new data from this week shown in my weekly insights tomorrow. So I'll tune in one more time tomorrow morning to close out the week. See you tomorrow. Welcome to Monday. I'm going to go over my weekly insights, unpacking all of the data from my previous week. So to do that, I press on Insights, I click on Insights Report, and then I have this beautiful report that I'm going to unpack today. So the first thing I usually do is I compare my previous week to my current week, which is unpacking my level 2 week. And so my engagement is pretty high, which is great week to week. I did see a bit of an increase in compassion, and as I unpacked this throughout the week, it was really attributed to taking care of myself more so that I could take care of other people. And the vices for me switch. So when I'm unlikely to exhibit compassionate behavior, am I more likely to exhibit the deficient or excess? I think this excess vice typically does describe my tendency, and last week was a bit of a outlier because of the rut I was in from over the holidays. So some improvements with my physiology and affect, but some regressions with my interactions, performance, and mood, indicated by the red boxes there, but nothing super crazy. I would say the decrease in my interactions, performance, and mood is because I really ran myself pretty full last week, and that was captured in my daily reflections, and so I really need to watch out for that this week. So the next thing I would do is then compare my insights compared to how my partner sees me. And if you've been along for this whole video, you'll know that I have 2 partners. And so what happens when you have 2 partners is that these partner values are averaged. So if you wanted to see specific insights from each partner, you can click on the partner tab and click on the person's name and actually open up their assessment for you. So you can see more of the granular data there. But I'll just look at the averages for now. So I do typically look at whether the vices align. And my partners do see me, in that overly concerned excess vice, so that's aligned with what I think. They do see me being more compassionate than I see myself. And then the main things that I would look at with my insights versus my partner is the boxes, indicating that there's a large difference between how I see myself versus how they see me. So this week, the only time I see that is with my performance. And I assess myself much lower than they assessed me. And I think that this is likely an outcome of that, I did run myself pretty hard this week. And I think that our typical definition for performance success in our society today is go, 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 working really hard, getting all the things done, etc. And that's not to say that that's wrong, but my definition of success for my performance looked a lot different this week. And so this would be a good time for me to share what my definition of success for my performance looks like with my partner so that they can better understand what my aims are and better assess me the next week. So again, this is an example of how we can use these really rich insights to pull out important information to share with our partners and to continue having these really rich discussions with our partners. And then the last thing to compare is, more so to look at, is the group average column. And so if you're doing this as part of a team, group, organization, having a pulse check on where others are at. And so I would say, everything looks pretty strong here. The intention is the lowest score. So I'd be curious to reach out to some people and ask what's contributing to the lower score. So that's part of the system. So what's your attitude, peer influence, cultural influence, all of those things influence your intention to develop a behavior. So I'd be curious to explore that. The one thing that I was reflecting on this morning is that my affect continues to be lower than my cognition. And looking at all the resources from the past week, starting with that music piece, was a really good reminder for me that cognition piece does tend to be really privileged, and I'd like to focus on my affect a little bit more. And so typically when I wake up, I usually look at the news and, activate my cognition right away. But this morning I chose to start listening to music. And again, I'm focusing on compassionate, so I opened up that humanity playlist. And it was a really nice feeling, and just kind of getting, feeling myself and activating that affect is something that I'm going to continue doing on forward this week as I continue to focus on my new exercises. So yeah, I think that's all to cover with the weekly insights. That's all I have for the week. It was so fun to have you along for my level 2 activate stage. I hope this gives you a better idea of how you can use the app on a day-to-day basis. And it was really fun sharing my Virtuosity vlog with you. Bye for now.